let us go ahead and complete a tax return for 2020. So if we take a look at our class, and we have a module, a reference module, filling out 1040s. And we have Thomas Peterson in here. This is the information on a PDF document. And there's a video where we fill out a 2018 return for Thomas Peterson. So you may want to take a look at that video, but I'm also going to do it now as a 2020 tax return. So here is the information. He is a single. You can ignore this about the 1040 easy. Okay, so we know that he's a single person. There's no dependents or anything. He has a W-2, which is for wages, and he has a 1099 INT with interest income. Now you'll see that these documents are for 2014, but that's all right. We will pretend that they are for 2020, and those documents for 2020 are extremely similar. Okay, so we're going to need a 1040 form. So if you go on to irs.gov, here is the 2020 1040 form, and we will also need the tax tables, which are in the IRS instruction booklet. So if we go to there, the second page, table of contents, 2020 tax table, and we can click on that. It'll take us straight to the start of the tax table. All right, so let's take a look here. We have Thomas Peterson, 567 E Street in Orangeburg. So up at the top is the filing status. So we know that he is single, so we click single. We put in his first name, his last name, and we'll need his social security number, and that is on this W-2. Here's the employee social security number at the top, 412345670. Okay, we need his home address. Oh yes, 567 East Street. Okay, this bottom is for foreign things, so you won't really need that. We don't have a spouse, so that's not in there. So we don't need the spouse's social security number. Here's a question. Does Thomas want to allocate $3 to go to the presidential election campaign? And this does not change his refund. It doesn't take money specifically out of his pocket in any way. What it's saying is that Congress will spend money on roads and defense, education, things like that. And you really don't have a whole lot of say other than indirectly through your vote of the people that go to Congress. Here is where you directly say, out of the pile of money, I want $3 to go to this presidential election campaign. If Thomas wants that to happen, he would check the box that says you. If he doesn't want that to happen, he leaves the box blank. There are some homework examples where it tells you specifically that that person does want it. Other than that, you can leave it blank. All right, they had this question here. Did Thomas receive, sell, send, exchange, or otherwise acquire any financial interest in a virtual currency. That's like Bitcoin. That's what they're talking about. Okay, so if he sold or bought any Bitcoin type of things, then he needs to say yes. Otherwise, he needs to say no. Okay, so it's unlike this other one, presidential election campaign. It's not a, click yes and otherwise leave it blank. This one you have to specifically say yes or no. Okay, now here's our standard deduction. And if somebody can claim Thomas as a dependent, then we would check that. Okay, but he's a single person, and no one can claim him, and nor is he claiming anyone else as a dependent. Okay, if he's over 65 or blind, then he gets extra standard deduction. And so that's what this question about being born before January 2nd of 1956. Okay, that means he's 65. So or he's blind. Okay, so he is neither. Okay, and the next section is dependents. You would put in the name, social security number, what relationship, and check off if that child is under 17 and qualified the child tax credit. You would check there. If that child qualifies not for the child tax credit, but maybe credit for other dependents. Maybe the child is is 17 or older. In that case, that child would probably qualify for this other credit. Okay, so you can put all that information. Thomas doesn't have any of that. So we're going to go here to line 1, wages. So we go back and we look on his W-2. Wages are $61,292 and 5 cents. Now, on the IRS forms, they prefer you to not put the pennies. So if it's 50 cents or more, you round up to the nearest dollar. And if it's less than 50 cents in the pennies, then you just leave the number as it is. So this is 61292. Okay, if you want to put a comma, you can put a comma. If you're using certain software, it will put a comma in for you. Okay. Now, if he had interest, tax-exempt interest goes here in line 2A. Taxable interest goes here in line 2B. So when we go back to his information, we see down here the 1099 INT, and he has interest. Again, this 39 cents is less than 50, so we'll use the 537, and that is taxable interest. We'll learn in Chapter 2, the only time we have tax-exempt interest usually is if we have interest from municipal bonds. Okay, here we have dividends. If he got some money out of his IRA or a pension, we have places for that. If he received Social Security checks, we have place for that. Okay, capital gains or losses, various other incomes. And so we get down to line 9, and it tells us this is where we add everything up. So we have 61,292. And we have 537. So that's 61829 is our total income. Okay. Now we have any adjustments. We know from the tax formula that's what comes next. Okay. Thomas doesn't have any. But if we did, we would have to fill out Schedule 1. And there's a bunch of lines for the different adjustments. We would fill them all out, total them up on line 22 of Schedule 1, and then bring that number up here to line 10A. We don't have any, so we leave it blank. Charitable contributions, if you take the standard deduction. He doesn't have anything to itemize, so he is going to take the standard deduction. If he had cash contributions, not clothing and household goods, but actual cash contributions to regular 501c3 organization, such as churches or schools and various other charities. If he gave $300 is the maximum you can go ahead and take on that, and you would just put the $300 here, or whatever you, if he only had $200, that would be go, but $300 is the max, and it has to have been paid in cash to a proper charitable organization. So GoFundMe is not, okay, and maybe your neighbor gets, has a house fire and you help them out. That's very nice, that's very good, but you cannot deduct that. It has to be a regular charitable organization. Okay, so Thomas doesn't have either of these things, and so a line 11, subtract line 10C, which is obviously 0, from line 9. This is your adjusted gross income. This is total gross income minus his adjustments. Okay, and so he's still 61,829. Okay, now his standard deduction. Now, as long as we don't need to add anything extra, the standard deduction is listed right on the 1040 form over here to the left. And so he's single, he has 12,400. Okay, he doesn't have a QBI deduction because he doesn't have his own business. So 12,400 is the total of those deductions, and we're going to subtract that from the 61,829, and we get 49,429. That's his taxable income. So that's the tax that we're going to look up in the tax table, is 49,429. So we're going to look up the section for 49,000. 49,429 fits in this row here. He's single, so we're talking 6664. Okay, that's his tax. If he had any other taxes, that would be from Schedule 2. He doesn't. Okay, if he had child tax credit or other, or credit for other dependents, he doesn't have any of that. If there's other non-refundable credits, that would go here in Schedule 3 and be brought forward. And so he doesn't have any of that either. Okay, and then we're going to subtract line 21 from line 18. Okay. Okay, other taxes, including self-employment tax, he doesn't have any of that, so his total is still the same. How much was withheld from his W-2 goes on line 25A, and that is 98.51. Okay, and he doesn't have any others. He doesn't have estimated payments. He doesn't have any of these refundable credits. And so his total payments is the 98.51. And we can subtract the 66.44.